Welcome back to the Cabral HouseCall. I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor, and today, on our Friday Best of the Best, we are taking your questions, anything goes, wellness, weight loss, or anti-aging. The last episode on Cabral Concept, we spoke about my doctor says I'm fine, so why do I feel so bad? The book that eventually led me to meet my mentor a little later in my life. I had many before that, but the one who kind of pushed me to combine the best state-of-the-art functional medicine with the ancient Ayurvedic healing techniques. Really phenomenal teacher as well, who, like I shared a little bit about his story. I'll certainly share more in the future about how that book led me to meet Dr. Pete. And the second one we went over, a supplement that works phenomenally well for high homocysteine. So if you come back on your annual labs with high homocysteine, showing high inflammation, a supplement for that, great for heart health and anti-inflammatory. And the third one, we go over a detox product, really simple, really inexpensive, that you can use right in your own bathtub. So definitely check out that episode. Now today, let's get started. So our first question is coming in from Meredith. Meredith asks a very common question, asking, should I be taking calcium every day? So great question. What I would say is this. I'm going to go over this in depth. I believe it's this coming Tuesday. So definitely check out that show. I think it's going to be episode 57. So what I'm going to talk about there is the potential negative side effects that haven't been really known until the past decade of women who have been prescribed calcium or told to take these high dosages of calcium and a really poor form of calcium, which you should never take. All right, you don't want to take calcium carbonate or those cheaper forms that are basically made from like rock dust, and it's not well absorbed. You're getting essentially less than 30% of what you're taking and just really not good for the body. Remember, you cannot go cheap on your nutritional supplements. It doesn't make any sense, and it can often backfire on you. Doesn't mean you have to buy, super expensive ones, but what I'm saying is look where you are spending your money. If you're willing to put something into your body or on your skin, really important that your body absorbs these things, and it's going to either help you get healthier or potentially have a negative side effect. So should you be taking calcium every day? Potentially. Most people do need calcium for sure. And if you're not getting it from your food, meaning not dairy sources like we've been led to believe, but from those greens and other sources as well, like certain types of fish. I've explained that before in previous episodes. Definitely go back and check those out. But if you're looking for food, definitely go for those leafy greens. You can eat them cooked, you can have them raw, and you're going to be getting some good calcium. But when you're taking a calcium supplement, just look for a good form. Look for a calcium citrate, a calcium malate, a calcium lactate, any of the forms that are well absorbed, but then also take that with magnesium at the same time. Do not take a mineral that, yes, can be great, but can also constrict the arteries, lead to calcification of the arteries. Take it with the one that balances it. And that's why, remember, when you look at natural health as pharmaceutical based and you just try to use a particular supplement or vitamin like you would a medication, that's not how natural health works. You're going to get yourself into trouble. You can't do that. You have to understand how the body works, the checks and the balances. And when you know that, when you understand that magnesium balances calcium, then you know that you should be taking calcium in a 5-to-1 ratio, or a lot of people use a 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 ratio of calcium magnesium, not only to better absorb calcium, but also to balance its potentially arterial-based constricting properties. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, Meredith. Simply take your calcium with magnesium and take a good absorbable form. Like I said, the malate, the even lysine, the citrate, or the lactate. Those are all great forms. Okay, so Dan, you are up next. Dan, let's see what your question is what do you think about beef jerky as a snack? So this is kind of opening up a whole can of worms about, do I think you should be snacking on meat between meals? And my answer is no. Just because as I get more and more in depth on the research, you do not want to be eating massive and copious amounts of meat for longevity reasons. Can it be blood sugar stabilizing? Absolutely. Can it help you put on muscle and work with body transformation? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. The research shows that as well. However, if you're eating a lot of meat it can lead to stagnation in digestion. It can lead to fermentation in the gut. It can lead to less energy levels because of the massive amount of digestion that has to take place and the energy used for that. It can lead to increased levels of IGF-1, which can lead to cancer. Should you eat no meat? Well, that's a personal choice. That's completely up to you. You don't have to, but I think you also can as well. You just can't have these large amounts. So now, Dan, I was in your spot. I used to eat way too much meat. I would snack on things like beef jerky. So not only do I not think that you should be consuming all of this meat all of the time throughout the day, it's also the quality of the meat. Unless you're paying for a grass-fed and grass-finished beef, you're most likely getting higher levels of omega-6. You're getting the diet of that animal, which for the most part is fed GMO soy, it's fed corn, it's fed antibiotics, it's fed hormones, it's fed growth hormone besides the estrogen that it's fed. It's a diseased, sick animal that hangs around all day in its own filth and really pollutes our own environment. Most people don't know that the majority of the ozone destruction actually comes from methane gas from all of the concentrated agricultural feeding organizations that take place where they have thousands and thousands of cattle with no room to move, living in their own feces and filth and giving off massive amounts of methane gas. Not to mention that greater than 50% of all pharmaceuticals now are fed to these animals, which it's just very, very disturbing. The whole thing is disturbing. I don't want to go off on a rant right now, but do start to look into the quality of the food that you're getting, because you're putting that in your body. It makes such a huge difference. It really does. And then if you want, think about the animals, and then think about the environment. Maybe it's not a concern to you. If it's not, that's okay for now. Just think about yourself and think about the health of the animals that you are putting in your body. That does matter. If you want to consume pharmaceuticals from your meat, higher amounts of estrogen, growth hormone, corn, soy, higher amounts of inflammatory omega-6s in your food, well, then you should eat these types of disease-based meat, which is really the majority of the red meat beef that we have in this country. Not to mention the things that they do like chlorination and irradiation to kill the bacteria. If you don't know it too, I'll stop in 30 seconds. So a lot of the ground meat that you're getting too comes from thousands of different cattle, which is very, very disturbing, especially since there can be brain matter in it. There can be bones. There can be all sorts of different things that I have to warn you about that should not be in that food. Very, very disturbing things. So, Dan, I don't think you were expecting that answer, but you got it. And so do be careful of any meat that you're eating, and do make sure that if you're having the beef jerky as a snack, that you're just having a small amount and that you're getting it from grass-fed cows. All right, Philip, you are up next. Philip H. And he writes, can you overwash your hair? Okay, so a larger thing was he was going into, I work with a lot of men in my practice and women as well, but for different reasons. So men who are going through issues with losing their hair. Their hair is getting thinner, it's falling out too quickly, they're suffering from male pattern baldness. So I go into the nutrients that their body is missing to have nice, strong, healthy hair. I go into things like testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, DHT conversion, estrogen conversion, all of those things. But there's a lot of things you can do just from the outside in. Now, keep in mind, most of it has to do with the inside out, but some of it can do with the outside in. And a lot of people with dandruff, with dry scalp, with different issues going on with their scalp and their hair are overwashing their hair. So this is a good question. And I'm sure that Philip may have seen this online or in an article because it's being brought up more and more. Even though we're told that, we should be washing our hair twice a day or 2 rinses and 2 conditions, whatever it might be, that's actually not true. I used to be someone that did that. I would wash my hair in the morning, and then after working out, I would wash my hair again. What was happening is my scalp was getting overly dry. So I didn't have like what you would say maybe dandruff per se, but my scalp was actually so dry it was flaking off. So you can look at that however you want. What I had to realize was that I was over drying out my scalp and my hair, which is not great for the quality of your hair. It deadens it, as well as the scalp itself. So I had to cut down the amount of days that I actually washed my hair. And if you're using natural products, this is actually a good thing because you don't have to worry about the buildup. You don't have to worry about the alcohols and all that type of stuff in your hair. So what I would say is, Philip, for your hair health, at the most, I would recommend, the very most, would be every other day. And if you can cut down to once a week or just a couple times a week, even better. I think your hair will actually be thicker, it'll be stronger, it'll be less dried out. And then after that, we'll talk about this in the future as well, try to switch over to a more natural hair care regimen, which includes your shampoos, your conditioners, making sure there's no chemicals in those, and then also the product that you might put in your hair as well. All right, great show today. Those were excellent questions. I appreciate everyone tuning in this week. Keep the questions coming. Just go to stevencabral.com/Ask Cabral. Thanks again. As a thank you for tuning in today, I wanted to share with you the number one system my private clients in Boston and now all over the United States are using to lose weight, decrease bloating, improve digestion, eliminate skin issues, and increase their energy all day long. It's called the Cabral Detox, and without going into all the details right now, simply go to drcabraldetox.com and you can find out how my proven, simple 7-day system can help you lose weight and feel great. There's no hype, there's no marketing, and best of all, it's guaranteed or your money back. And as a thank you for being a listener of the Cabral Concept, I'd like to offer you $10 off your next 7, 14, or 21-day Dr. Cabral Detox purchase in the month of March. Simply enter the savings code MARCH10, all in lowercase, one word, when checking out. Thank you again for tuning in, and I look forward to hearing your success story soon.